All right. So our next example that we're working on again, we're still dividing rational numbers. And so what we have is a 26.2-mile marathon. They have a water stop every 2 and 41/45 of a mile. The last water stop is at the finish line. So how many water stops are there in the race? So remember, we're talking about division. And when you talk about division, division is just basically saying, hey, I have a total amount that I know about, and I want to split them up into equal parts, right? And so you need to tell me how many parts can I, or how many groups, number of groups, let's say it that way. How many groups or numbers do we have with equal parts? Okay. Knowing the total, knowing one part, we can find the other missing part. Okay. So let's see what we've got. So we know that we are starting with 26.2 miles, and we have a water stop that is every 2 and 41/45 of a mile. So the first thing I'm going to do is I notice that we have a fraction, I'm sorry, a decimal, and we also have a fraction. So let's see if we can maybe convert this into a decimal. So let's see. I'm just going to convert just the fractional piece, 41 divided by 44. And it looks like it's a repeating number, right? So I cannot convert it. So what I will have to do is change everything, all of my terms into a fraction. So to do that, I know that this is a 2 and the place value is tenths. So both of those are divisible by 2. That means we have 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. 10 divided by 2 gives me 5. So that is the same thing as 26 and 1/5, and we are dividing it into equal groups of 2 and 41/45. All right. And that's not for that. That's just because of that. All right. So now what we need to do is figure out how to solve this. Well, let's go back to Texas. So remember, we've got a mixed number. We need to turn it into an improper fraction. So remember, we're going to start from the bottom, work our way to the top so we can solve for those. And so 5 times 26 gives me 130. 130 plus one more gives me 131. And that's going to be over 5. Then we're going to divide that by 2 times 45, or 45 times 2. That gives me 90. 90 plus 41 gives me 131. So 131 over 45. Now we'll use what we know about dividing fractions. So remember, we're going to keep it, switch it, flip it, and then multiply across. So we'll keep the first term. So that is going to be 131 over 5. We're going to switch our term to its inverse, which is multiplication. We're going to flip our second term. So that's going to be 45 over 131. And then we want to multiply across. But remember, before we multiply across, let's try to simplify what we have so that we don't have big numbers to work with and then still have to go back and simplify it. So let's see. I see that I have, first off, 131 and 131. So that right there, I know, that's going to be 1, but I'll show you. So 131 divided by 131 gives me 1, right? So that's going to be the same thing for this one as well. Now let's look at the opposite side. We have 5s and 45. So I know that 45 divided by 5 gives me 9. So that now this is 9. And 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. So this is 1. So these are new fractions that we have. So let's go ahead and multiply across now. So we have 1 times 9, that gives me 9. 1 times 1, that gives me 1. And let me see, we have a positive number here and a positive number here. So that means this is positive, right? Which of course we could not have a negative number of water stations. But anyway, so we have 9 ones. That's the same thing as 9. So there are 9 water stops. Okay. Remember, of course, you can still use the calculator, but I always like to go over it manually to show you how that would look. So in terms of solving it with our calculator, you would plug in 26.2. So we'll do that, 26.2, and then we're going to divide that by 2 ABC, 41 ABC, 45. And then let's see what we've got. Yep, so you got the same thing, 9.